Canada ranks 4th in total indebtedness amongst the 34 OECD countries.
What the situation is for most Canadians, specifically the income that a family needs to live comfortably, and what percentage of Canadians actually are able to live like that.
The left and the liberals are the real extremists.
You know, the thing about Donald Trump is that when he does something wrong, people will criticize him endlessly. When he does something right, they will crickets.
The US is a powerhouse, like an insane powerhouse, and people don't quite realize it, okay? So here's 8 crazy facts about the United States. The Charter of Right and Freedom is shit. It's shite, and I'll say it right here. I hate it, and I'll tell you why. Welcome to the Right Call Podcast, everyone, episode 107. My name is Elliot, and I'm joined today by our co-host,
Simmer Malhotra.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Elliot, how are you doing?
Fucking fantastic. Woke up to news that there might be an election coming up in April. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So there is a chatter. There's little words between the grapevines. Apparently, Carney met up with Doug Ford because they want a supermajority. Now, I don't know why Carney would meet with Dougie. I mean, you're a conservative. Why you mean? You know, I think Dougie is a closeted liberal. I think there's a lot in Canada of closeted liberal. We call them red Tories, right? And deep down inside, I think him and Carney have a love story. It's almost like Trudeau and Katy Perry, or Trudeau and Jack Meat. I miss that. You know, I miss Trudeau. I actually miss him. Like, he gave unbelievable levels of content. It was just a walking clown that we had a blast kind of like, you know, teasing. And nowadays we've got Carney. It's cold, calculated. He's effective. But he doesn't give me the memes. The memes are not as good. Don't you think?
I can't stand either of them. So I don't know. I have a personal disdain for Justin Trudeau and everything he's done for this country. So I think as bad as Carney is, I think Trudeau, just how he violated the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, something his father came up with. That was his father's greatest accomplishment in politics. Because, you know, I was thinking about this actually today. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, you could say, people used to say that he had a terrible economic track record. So I guess that ran in the Trudeau family that, you know, we can't manage money because we never did our math homework. But the one thing you could say about Pierre Trudeau is he came up with the Charter of Rights and Freedom, something that has stayed within the sphere of Canada. It stayed such a sacred document for so many people. Maybe you disagree with it, but
I disagree because the Charter of Right and Freedom is shit. It's shite, and I'll say it right here. I hate it, and I'll tell you why. All the beautiful rights that are enshrined in this beautiful document are completely null and void with Section 1. Section 1, the very first section that states that these rights are not absolute and they can absolutely be infringed as long as it's done in a reasonable and democratic process, aka any reason you want, the government can just trample your rights. Contrast that to the American Bill of Rights, which are, first of all, they're not rights given to the people. That's a huge difference. The Charter of Rights and Freedom, it's the government, the crown, gives us little plebeies, you know, little subjects, rights. Whereas in the US, you're endowed by your creator with certain unalienable rights. And the Bill of Rights is restrictions on the government, right? It's not, you have the freedom of speech or expression in Canada. It's, the Congress shall make no laws abridging freedom of speech. It's not, you have the right to have guns. No. It's that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They are all restrictions on the government because you're born with your rights. That's why I don't agree with the Charter of Rights and Freedom. I think it's a worthless document, and it's been shown time and time again to have been trampled. And then if Section 1 for some reason doesn't apply, just use the notwithstanding clause. The federal government is entitled to use the notwithstanding clause as much as the provinces do.
Yes.
Quebec has done it a bunch of times. I mean, other provinces discuss it all the time. So what's the point of having protection on your rights if you can just violate the rights?
Right. I think it's just more symbolic. I think when I didn't really have such a political opinion on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I do appreciate the fact that, you know, it was set on the public record that Trudeau did violate it, that the judges ruled in favor of the Charter. So the Charter is a base of values that Canadians can look towards, right?
But not even. The judge did not rule that the Charter was violated. The judge ruled that the enactment of the Emergency Measures Act was unconstitutional. So it was not that you trampled the rights, it's you should not have enacted this law. So it's even weaker than that. And this is an important distinction. But I get it. Like the Charter of Rights and Freedom can be so beautiful, but we just need a little bit of American kind of, I don't want to say extremism. It's American
assertiveness.
There you go. This is it. This is immutable. This is what the country's founded on. Let's not touch it.
Fair enough. But all this to say that this was Pierre Elliott Trudeau's biggest accomplishment in his time in office, despite having a terrible economic track record, just like his son. And so,
and also his other thing that I really loved that he did was take a walk in the snow. That was my favorite thing. What a great walk, you know?
Yeah.
If only he would have, also during that walk told Justin never to run for office. But alas, we can't have everything. But in today's episode, we're going to talk...
we were talking about Carney, actually. Sorry, we were talking about Carney and Trudeau, and we were talking about like how they're unbearable to me. So I don't miss Justin Trudeau.
No, you don't.
Because so that was what we were actually talking about.
So Canada's indebted. Canada's really indebted. Canada is broke. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about a major shift. I love this one, okay? It's a shift of the right versus the left. We've mentioned it. We've talked about it, how it's the left that can't think for itself. But now we're going to talk about how or where the left went, because they love to call us the crazy people. But all facts and data shows that they're the crazy people. And I don't want to make it like us versus them, because the moderates, the independents, the people that are just kind of like political refugees, in Canada we love refugees, well, they're the ones that are being left behind. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then I just want to mention real quick just how strong the US is. Like just some basic, like 8 facts and figures, crazy facts and figures about the US that people just don't realize. They're so powerful. They're so strong. So that's on my end. What about you, sir?
Well, you were talking about crazy people. I wanted to talk about a crazy people who did something crazy, a crazy person who did something crazy recently, Billie Eilish at the Grammys. Did you get a chance to see what she said at the speech?
I saw what she said and it was hilarious.
Well, today we're going to break down a little bit about what she said and how the backlash she received as a result. And, this isn't the first time she's gone out on a limb. It's not the first time she did it for the Democrat Party. And so I wanted to show an old clip of her and how she's shilling for the liberal establishment, which essentially shows me that she's just a mouthpiece for that establishment. So that's the first thing I prepared. The next thing I prepared was a Donald Trump report card. Ooh. I wanted to give, because she's criticizing ICE. And so I wanted to think about, like, what has Donald Trump actually really accomplished for the people of the United States? So I made a little report card from different subjects.
Nice.
And the last thing is I wanted to do a little Canada report card, a little Canada update on what the situation is for most Canadians, specifically the income that a family needs to live comfortably and what percentage of Canadians actually are able to live like that.
Shit.
And the results will surprise you. So I have a really great 3 segments I prepared, and I'm sure you did some great work, so I'd love to get right into it.
Let's get into it, because we're keeping it at an hour. I've been getting feedback. An hour is much better than 90 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for the feedback.
Yes.
We're keeping it at an hour. Tight. I will cut it, and we will keep segments for next time if we can't reach it. So let's start with our favorite topic, Canada. Canada. So Canada is flat broke. So this just came out. Canada ranks 4th in total indebtedness amongst the 34 OECD countries, according to data from the IMF. Let's say it's fairly reliable. Our aggregate household, corporate, and government debt has reached 377% of GDP, a burden surpassed only by Luxembourg, Japan, and France. So let's go to the TV. And we're going to show, man, again, this could have been so good if it was smoother. It looks smooth on video. It doesn't look so smooth. Come on, connect, motherfucker. So there you go. So we got a nice big graph right here. Total debt, household, corporate, and government as percentage of GDP for 2024. So Canada, we're right at the top. France is in the poubelle, dans la poubelle. Japan is doing terrible, although big hopes for Japan with the newest government that just got been elected. Supermajority on top of that, the most right-wing government in the history of Japan. And Luxembourg. The US ain't too far behind, let's be honest, but the difference is that the US actually has a productive economy to back shit up, so that can be turned around in no time. And Latvia, kudos to you guys. Poland and Latvia are doing good when it comes to that. But overall, the country average is 270. So 270, the world is so indebted. 270% of GDP. So then we're going to look at another graph in 1 second. I'm just going to stop mirroring so that I don't ruin the punch for you. So now let's break it down a little bit further. So oddly enough, and this is going to be a good point for Canada, right? Canada's federal debt is actually relatively low. The federal debt at 52% GDP versus 102% in the US. So at face value, you're like, wait, we're doing not too bad. Other comparison, like the UK, federal debt, 100% GDP. France, 94% GDP. Germany, 44% GDP. But here's the thing, that doesn't tell the full story because our provinces are also indebted, and we have to count that in because Canada is a federation. And as such, our provinces are fairly sovereign, and they're the ones who administer and manage healthcare, for example, transport, not federal transport, provincial transport, education. Those are very expensive programs to manage. Whereas like France and these other countries are what you call unitary countries. They operate mostly as one unit. They don't have delegations of sovereignty, if you wish. So if you add all the government debts, so that's provincial, territorial, and federal, our government debt is bad. It's bad. It's 111% GDP. That ain't good. Ain't good at all. And then if you look at household debt, because that's another thing too we got to look at. Canadians, household, how do they deal on a private level? Well, our household debt is also horrible at 103% of GDP. It's only lower than Australia and Switzerland. We're the third worst in the world, or in the OECD, I should say. So people have to realize, like, right now, our companies don't borrow as much as our people, okay? Because corporate debt's in there as well. But anyways, I had another graph. Wait, give me a sec. I got another graph I wanted to show. I just lost it. One sec. Man, I want to hurry up. I don't want to waste some time. So never mind. That's for another thing. Okay, so real quick, the Carney government's recent announcement to rename and enhance the GST credit at a cost of, by the way, $11.7 billion, which was not earmarked in the budget, right? So now our deficit is not $72 billion anymore. It's much higher. So it's symptomatic of a broader Canadian problem. While framed as affordability relief, the harder truth is that it represents yet another instance of over-leveraged nation borrowing to fund current consumption. This is not for development projects that will reap benefits later, right? This is not an investment. This is, we're in shit today and we're living on a credit card to pay rent and food. That's effectively what it's like. A federal government running nearly $80 billion deficit is effectively spending money it doesn't have to patch immediate pressure points. This isn't a critique of helping families manage costs. It's an observation about where Canada now stands. We have become one of the world's most indebted nation. When households, corporations, and governments are simultaneously highly leveraged, our ability to respond to crises shrinks dramatically. We're not nimble anymore. We cannot, again, it's like Canadian families last week you mentioned so well, $200 away, or it was a couple of weeks ago, $200 away from crisis, right? That's Canada right now, except we're like already negative $200 away from crisis. Whether the next shock arrives as a trade war, a recession, or something unanticipated, we'll face it with far less room to maneuver than what we imagine. So this is a call to arms to say, guys, maybe austerity ain't so bad. Maybe we need to tighten our belt and go through the pain points, the pain periods. Like going to the gym, it's going to suck at first. You're going to hate yourself. But guess what? In 20 years from now, you're not going to die from a heart attack or cancer or diabetes. What's your take on that?
Elliot, my take on that is we have to consider the effects that it has. Like everything you just so eloquently laid out, we have to take it into account the effects this has on the average Canadian family. And I think this is a great time for me to give my little Canada report card. They did a research about the income that a family needs to live comfortably in each Canadian province.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. That's a good segment. Let's do it.
All right. In Quebec, $70,000 to $91,000. And this is for two working adults with 2 children.
Okay, so it's a family of 4.
Yes.
Good.
So in Quebec, you need $70,000 to $91,000 household income to live comfortably.
72,091.
70,000 to 91,000.
Oh, sorry, 70,000 to 91,000.
Yes.
Okay.
In British Columbia, $100,000 to $105,000 household income just to live comfortably. In Ontario, $98,000 to $106,000. In Alberta, $85,000 to $91,000. In Nova Scotia, $88,000. In Manitoba, $75,000 to $79,000. And I mean, I can keep going on, but it's roughly $70,000 to $90,000 is the household income required to quote unquote live comfortably in Canada. And live comfortably does not mean like, oh, we're going on vacation every year. This is just living comfortably in Canada.
That's like affording rent, food on your table, education, basic transport, clothes,
core
maybe a little bit of entertainment.
Yes.
You know, like a movie here and there.
Yes.
Okay.
Normal family, normal life.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I did is I took those numbers and I tried to understand like what percentage of Canadians are actually earning that household income just to live comfortably, because you know, you have to consider that, because you have to figure out like what percentage of these people are actually able to accomplish or able to, earn this much income.
Yeah.
And it turns out that only around 25 to 35% of Canadians earn this income.
Wow. So that leaves, so that's earning that income or more, right?
Yeah.
So that leaves 70% of the country
Yes.
that is living below what would be considered comfortable.
Yes. And that 70% aligns closely with a poll that came out last year that said that 80% of Canadians feel as though they will never be able to afford a home.
Yeah.
So this is the reality that Canadians are living in today.
Yeah.
And so
but that's wild, right? To consider that Canada, which used to be a beacon, like an absolute beacon of hope, and there was a Canadian dream, and it was known for a country that was respectable, that people lived comfortably. That is so far gone.
Absolutely.
And this has been gone over the span pretty much of a decade, right? Because at least from the stats that we've been pulling out over the weeks and months we've been doing this, everything shows that back in 2010 or 2015, none of this was an issue. Like Canada, immigration was not a controversial issue. The job market was not a controversial issue. Debt was not a controversial issue. Our relationship with the United States was not a controversial issue.
Housing cost half. Food bank usage was not as crazy as it is now. We have 2.2 million Canadians monthly lining up at food banks. Over 700,000 of those people are children. And so the liberal establishment has completely neglected our children.
Yeah.
We're talking about youth unemployment, record youth unemployment in this country. What does that say? What does that tell you, Elliot, about the future of Canada? Forget the today. Yeah. What does that tell you about the future of Canada when youth unemployment today is the highest it's ever been? 70 to 80% of Canadians feel as though they will never be able to afford a home. And 70 to 75% of Canadians don't even live comfortably in this country.
You know, and that's a thing, and it's a theme that I've been repeating many, many times, but it feels as if Canada is mortgaging the future of, forget our generation. I think we're cooked. It's mortgaging the future of our kids, of the next 1, 2, 3 generation, in order to sustain the quality of life of boomers who had the most golden economic era I think the world has ever seen. The reality is this. If you did not leverage the fact that you had literally a bull market all those years, you had a growing economy all those years, you had a safe country all those years to plan for your retirement, tough luck. It's over. You're not a productive member of society. And the fucked up thing is that, you know, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but these people paid into the CPP or the QPP in Quebec. You know, they contributed to the system, and they pay taxes, and they get their OAS, or old age security. But the problem is old age security has become the biggest federal expense now. So it's turning into a Ponzi scheme. I agree that the CPP and the QPP are self-funded. And although I disagree with the obligation to partake in it, and I disagree with the return they get, I think it is subpar. But nonetheless, it is true that it is self-funded and it is solvent. My issue is the OAS. And here's what's the fucked up thing is that you and I have been paying taxes all of our adult life and even our teenage years. I started working like 14, 15 years old and paying taxes, although you do get a credit back, but still, you're contributing to the economy. And yet that OAS, there's a very good chance they're going to cut it because it's become so unsustainable. So it has turned right now into a Ponzi scheme where you and I are paying for the retirement and the supplement of income for these people who did not plan for it. And that's the problem. That's where I have a huge personal issue. And this is why, like a couple weeks ago, we spoke about the boomers, and it's about time that they let go of the reign. And we got some pushback on that. Some people were saying that, well, wait a second, Carney is not a boomer. And I'm like, whether he's a boomer or not, these people failed to see the point. The point was that the Carney and the Liberal government are in power because of the boomers.
Yeah.
They are the demographic that keeps voting Liberals. They are like 70 to 72% leaning Liberals. And this contrasts to Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z that are all considerably closer to the 50% or even 52, 55, 56% conservatives.
Yeah.
It goes to show the people that are suffering and that see the bleak future ahead for them are the ones that are running away from liberal policies, while the boomers, who are now completely outside of the economy, they are shielded and unaffected for the most part by these measures, are the ones that keep voting in. And I cannot for the life of myself understand that the ones that have kids don't see this. The boomers who don't have any kids, don't have any grandkids, I get it to an extent. You're so shielded. You're watching CBC all day, or in Quebec, like TVA Nouvelle. I get that. You just don't understand what's going on. But if you have kids, and I have friends, we have people even here on this podcast, former co-host Curtis, his father, incredibly successful man, and yet keeps voting Liberal. But like, you see the impact that it has on your kids. And what do you think? These people, I'll tell you what they think. They think the millennials, they don't work hard enough. They complain all the time. And that's such a boomer take because, again, we work more, longer, and most importantly, we're more productive than they were. And yet we have no access to what they had.
And what you're sharing is actually, I have the actual numbers that support your claim. So an Abacus poll came out, I think, in January. 50% of people aged between 18 to 29 are supportive of the Conservative Party, whereas only 27% of people aged 18 to 29 are supportive of the Liberal Party.
That's wild.
Yeah, but that flips when you go to the 60 plus demographic. 52% of boomers, 8 people aged above the age of 60, support the Liberal Party, and 32% support the Conservative Party.
That's wild.
I think it comes down to a simple lack of awareness. Now, like you said, they're propagandized to by the liberal establishment.
Yeah.
They're told things like, our trading relationship with the United States is under jeopardy. This like completely inflammatory, garbage BS rhetoric.
Yeah.
And they're just buying it because that's the only source of news they're getting. They're not savvy. I guess they're not nearly as savvy with YouTube and all these technologies that came out. They've been, and justifiably so, they've had faith in our institutions their entire life because they grew very wealthy in Canada. Yeah. However, the young generation is not seeing that same level of success, not even close. And yes, you are right. A lot of boomers will say, hey, well, go work hard. I work 70 hours a week. I did my best. Like, so am I, bro.
Yeah.
I'm doing great.
Exactly.
I'm doing my best. And barely it's enough to just get by.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that like shuts them up right away is you just talk about the homes, right? You just say, look, listen, back in your days, a home, the average home, not a condo, not a split house, not a duplex, a fucking single family home was 3x the average income. Today, it's 6, 7, sometimes depending on the market, 8 times average income. So just then and there, that goes to show we are not giving the same opportunity. We have to work twice, if not 2.5 times more to afford the home that they got.
The same house.
The same house.
The same exact house, probably decaying and depreciating.
Yeah. Because back then they were all like new.
Yes.
Most homes in Canada, I saw this, and don't quote me exactly on the stat, but it's like ballpark. Most homes in Canada were built in the 70s and the 80s. There was a huge housing boom, and that's when most homes have been built. They don't start homes as much anymore. So there we go.
Our housing starts are actually extremely low in Canada right now.
This is the kind of topic that, for example, Daniel Fuck. I never know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, man. I feel like it's a German name, but he would be an expert to talk about that.
Yeah.
This guy's so good at it.
Well, I took the time to put together some stats on how Canada's been doing lately. Do you want to get into some of them?
Let's do it. Let's keep it Canada going.
Yes. Canada's private sector lost 38,000 jobs last month. Okay. But Canada's bureaucracy increased by 13,300 more government employees. Okay. In total, the federal government has now accumulated $1.27 trillion in debt, half of which has been accumulated in the last 5 years.
Whoa, dude. Fuck me.
Okay. Meat prices. So the price you pay for meat is up 50% in Canada since 2019, just 7 years ago.
Well, no wonder they want to seed the bugs.
Nearly 2,800 mortgage consumers in the GTA, in the Greater Toronto Area, were in arrears for during the third quarter of 2025.
Yeah.
So they're late on their mortgage payments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is data straight out of the CMHC, by the way. Canada's economy lost 25,000 jobs and unemployment rate ticked down to 6.5%. So the unemployment rate went down because 94,000 people stopped looking for jobs entirely.
Yeah, I know. And I made a video real quick, and I'll let you get back to it. But I made a video about that exactly because obviously the liberal media, the headline was unemployment rate is going down. The unemployment is going down. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Again, they're such cheerleaders. It's insane. But then you realize it's because, like you said, 94,000 people just gave up.
Yeah.
And when they give up, they don't count in statistics anymore, which I don't know. I don't know why.
It's to artificially skew the number lower than it actually is.
Absolutely.
That government, like, I don't know if this is just a quick side note. You know, when they talk about, in the US, this is about the US, when they talk about housing inflation, you know how they get the data for it? They don't check the price of housing at time A, house of
they go into Zillow?
Price at time B. What they do is they do something called owner's equivalent rent. So they'll call up homeowners and they would say, like, if you had to rent your place, how much would you rent it for monthly?
Okay.
And that's the number they use to calculate inflation in housing. Look it up. Owner's equivalent rent. And the government always does things like this to like they'll artificially skew the numbers lower. Like inflation in food and housing, they'll cook the books in a way
they do
they'll
like
cook
CPI.
The calculations, not
like
the books.
For inflation, well, probably the books as well.
Yeah.
But like CPI, what they'll move items in and out of what like the basket of goods they use to calculate CPI, right? And by the way, for the people that say that we're just Trump cheerleaders, right? This is from the United States. Yeah. And guess what? Yeah. I think that's a stupid, horrible way to calculate inflation.
Absolutely.
So there we go. We're not Trump freaking... Although I do like Trump, don't get me wrong, but we're not cheerleaders.
I like the president right now. I like a lot of things he's doing. And I actually prepared a report card about that. So we're going to shut these libtards up a bit today.
The libbies. Well, let's talk about the libbies then, okay? Let's talk about that.
Well, I just wanted to finish one thing, and then we'll talk about the libbies.
I thought you were done.
One little thing.
Yes.
So an economist recently released an article on Bloomberg saying that Canada's economy is on life support. Okay? Yep. And Carney is supposed to be this brilliant economist, right? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. In the House of Commons, do you know what he blamed?
Well, it used to be COVID, then it became Trump and his trade war. What is it now?
He flat out blamed the conservatives for not... Oh. He just said, it's your fault that the dollar is tanking.
It's exactly. The one group that's been out of office for a decade, it's their fault.
It's their fault because they're not complying to the liberal agenda of $90 billion deficits, Mr. Prime Minister.
That's the thing, by the way, is they have a minority mandate, but they want to rule as a majority.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, Canadians did not want you to be a majority. They wanted you to be a minority. So deal with it. Make deals. You're going to have to make concessions. You're not king right now, although you're trying really hard to be. And by the way, I love how their whole floor crossing strategy has failed. Because there's a couple of their caucus members that have resigned or they're going to work in Ukraine or whatever. Or go on Bill Mayer's show, you know. Did you see...
Bill Maher,
Yeah, did you see Freeland there?
No, I didn't.
You didn't miss much.
Okay.
Except for the fact that, like, even though she was one of the biggest proponent of LGBTQIQDWDDD55 rights and shit, she flat out said that, like, yeah, you know what, like, women and men, like the two sexes. Like, whoa. What
That's
a
180.
shift. Yeah, exactly. What a shift.
Well, let's talk about the Libbies.
Well, the Libbies. Well, there you go. The Libbies. The left and the liberals are actually the real. Let's do that again. This is the intro. I gotta nail the intro. The left and the liberals are the real extremists. Since 1988, the polarization in the US has been overwhelmingly due to the left moving leftward and going insane. I stand by that. While the right has basically stayed the same. This is according to new analysis using K-means clustering, which measures actual positions instead of self-labels, right? Because let's be honest, self-labels, not accurate. So to the TV we go. We should have like a little tune for that, you know? So you're going to see right here the graph over since, 88, right? So this goes since 88. The right has marginally, and I mean, it could be a rounding error, stayed the same. It might have increased its position to the right by a fraction of a percentage. Whereas look at the left. The left just has gone into a spiral of insanity to the left position, leaving everyone else behind, right? And there's another one too here. Okay, this is a good one. Democrats have shifted sharply leftwards on cultural issues in recent years, leaving the median voter behind. So this looks at, for example, two, social issues. First, we have the percentage of support affirmative actions since 96 here, right? So Republicans, so people on the right, have stayed, again, relatively straight in definitely straight, but they've stayed relatively the same in their views of affirmative actions. The median voter has shifted slightly left, but remain, again, marginally the same. The Democrats, however, the left, has gone so far to the left. They've moved nearly 40 percentage points to the left. 40. That's not a rounding error. That is wild. The other one, the net percentage support for increasing or cutting immigration. So Republicans have gone, I'd say roughly, call it 8% more than that, 18%, 18%, okay, towards cutting immigration. The average voter, the median voter, the independent, right, the Johns of this world, right, the Tom, Dicks, and Harrys of this world, have, again, mostly stayed the same. They went a little bit to the left at one point, right? They wanted more immigration, and now they're coming back towards cutting immigration as well. And then you have the liberals, the left. They went from 20%, which wanted to cut immigration. Can you believe that? They wanted to cut immigration once upon a time. And since 2008, since Obama came in to office, they've gone to 40% of them want more, not just like, oh, let's keep it as is. They want more immigration. Like considerably more. Again, they've gone so far. They are becoming the fringe minority. So keep in mind, by the way, next time that someone calls you or you a right-wing extremist for being just a normal person from 20 years ago. And I've seen this from literal moderates or even people that are left-leaning, okay, who just don't hit the same level of insanity as the crazy liberals or Democrats or leftists. And these people that were on the same camp as them are being called and labeled fascists for not supporting their ideas. Because with the left, and this is one thing I've realized, it's a race to the bottom. It's if you're not as crazy and extreme as us in our views, you must be the Antichrist. You are the enemy of the people. That's how they label everyone who doesn't support their every little agenda. So all in all, this shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that the political polarization we're seeing nowadays is driven purely by the left.
Absolutely. And first of all, great segment. Thank you for that, Elliot. That was very revealing. And that brings us perfectly to talk about Billie Eilish, who is a...
This is today it's like bam 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 bam. It's really good.
Nice flow. Nice flow. Because we're going to talk about a Libby called Billie Eilish, who
at the
Grammys promoted anti-ICE, not anti-immigration. And I just wanted to show a clip because she got a lot of backlash for this, right?
She got lots of Eillish.
She made a comment essentially on stolen land like that. And so let's do a quick play here.
She looks like the devil. She looks satanic.
It was funny because you said they think we're the Antichrist when they're like supporting the Antichrist. That made me laugh. There it is.
No one is illegal on stolen land. Yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter.
Billie Eilish essentially at the Grammys calling out against ICE raids and saying we need to continue protesting. And so the funny thing is that a journalist called her out, and that's the actual next clip that I wanted to show, was a journalist actually went to Billie Eilish's house. Okay. Nice. And, you know, for someone who is so anti-immigration, let's take a look at how Billie Eilish chooses to live.
Billie reckons there's no such thing as an illegal human because we're all on stolen land. So we're here in Billie's quite posh neighborhood in Los Angeles. Let's go and see if she practices what she preaches. Here we go. Oh, nice little place. Bins are out. It's bin collection day. First of all, isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billie didn't believe in borders. Well, according to the
kudos to him for having the guts to do this.
Borders, she believes in massive gates keeping people out. Couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely 3 million.
So, and it didn't even end there. So, because she called this out, 1 second, I just want to open up the link. The Tongva tribe, because she said, hey, no one is illegal on stolen land. The Tongva tribe, the indigenous inhabitants of the Los Angeles basin, known as the first, sorry if I pronounce this incorrectly, first Angelenos.
Don't be sorry. Don't.
Had a message of their own for Eillish, whose multi-million-dollar mansion sits on their ancestral land. The tribe revealed that the birds of a feather singer should explicitly reference them when speaking about stolen land.
From now on, I want every single Billie Eilish concerts to start with a land acknowledgement. That's what I want.
Eillish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the instance when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country. So, you know what? I hope she loses her house.
Well, to push it even further, this is hilarious because there's a lawyer, an attorney in the U.S. that has come out, and he says, "I will work pro bono with the tribes of whatever you said." I will not try to pronounce that name because it's not English or French. But anyways, and he said, "I will work pro bono and bring about a lawsuit against Billie Eilish because she is unlawfully on your land," and she self-admitted it too. And that's the thing. That's what's going to be used in court. Here is her admitted that she's on stolen land. As such, this needs to be brought back to the rightful owner. It's going to be hilarious if it actually goes through. It could just be posturing. You know what it is? Like it's a lot of like blah 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 and like political clout and shit. But if they do, man, this could be the funniest thing.
It would be so funny.
I'm in.
You know,
let's do it.
And you know, people might think like, oh, we're being harsh. Maybe she has a valid claim to her, in her own opinion. It's her opinion that, you know, these things are so. But this is not the first time that she has been a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. Yeah. Because back in 2020, Billie Eilish was also speaking out against Trump and saying that like, I have a clip from her back in 2020 in the Biden election where she supported essentially a geriatric man who could not even form a sentence, could not get a grip on inflation, could not figure out the economy of that country, and misled young Americans because they look up to her as an influencer. And she's so uninformed. Like, stay out of politics.
Yeah,
Like,
but Biden was not even running the country. It was all his staffers. This is like well known.
yeah, obviously, but
The auto pen did extra work.
this is her being a mouthpiece for that establishment.
You don't need me to tell you things are a mess. Donald Trump is destroying our country and everything we care about. We need leaders who will solve problems like climate change and COVID, not deny them. Leaders who will fight against systemic racism and inequality. And that starts by voting for someone who understands how much is at stake. Someone who's building a team that shares our values. It starts with voting against Donald Trump and for Joe Biden. Silence is not an option, and we cannot sit this one out.
The eyes,
that,
man.
That
The
aged
eyes.
like milk.
The eyes. It's the eyes. It's that zoomer. She exemplifies the zoomer doomer eyes. Look at it. Like they're dead.
Yeah.
She's got no soul. It's so sad to see. It's honestly like, man, I
My advice to Billie Eilish is focus on your music and stay out of politics. It's clearly not your cup of tea. Because now I got a bellyache. She's giving me a political bellyache.
well, you're a music guy, right? You do music. You record music. Do you sing your own lyrics too?
Yeah. I could sing.
You're gonna have to come up one day
One
and
day,
sing.
don't worry.
You're gonna have to come up with a guitar and come sing us a
Hey,
nice little ballad.
There's the Canadian idiot.
Well, if we go into election, you better
I'm
whip
just
it
going
up.
to repost that. It's going to be...
No, you're gonna
it's
come
gonna
here
be-
and do it live,
Sure.
live on air,
I could do
baby.
that.
It's
I could do that.
showbiz, baby.
But anyways, this really brings me to the next segment that I prepared, because she's out here hating on Trump. But, the thing about Donald Trump is that when he does something wrong, people will criticize him endlessly.
Mhm.
When he does something right, they will...
crickets. Yeah.
And so I took the time to prepare a little Donald Trump report card.
Ooh.
And so let's get into it. It's quite a piece. It's going to take a little while, but I'm really excited to share it. So his main action on immigration,
Mhm.
right? That's the main thing people are criticizing, his immigration, and specifically ICE raids. So Donald Trump did sign major enforcement legislation and executive orders. He did increase massively funding for ICE and detention capacity. He did expand deportations and raids nationwide.
Good.
So he allocated $170 billion for border enforcement. He increased the capacity to deport up to 1 million people a year. 2.6 million illegal immigrants were removed. This is deportations and voluntary departures. Okay. 650,000 arrest detentions of illegal migrants, and a negative net migration in 2025, which is the first time that has happened in decades.
Mhm.
Okay. And before you call Donald Trump a fascist for these numbers, let's take a look at previous presidents of the United States and how they did. Bill Clinton, and this it's only ICE style deportations. Okay, I'm not talking about like rejecting at the border. I'm talking about like ICE deporting people. Okay, Bill Clinton deported 1 million people, ICE style. George Bush, 2 million people. President Obama, 3.1 million people, the highest. In Donald Trump's first term, he deported 930,000 people. So only a third of what Obama actually deported. Joe Biden deported 1.3 to 1.5 million people. ICE style raids. This is people coming to your house and telling you, you got to go.
Can't stay.
Okay. And so far, Donald Trump has deported around 1 million people in his second term so far. So this is not even close to Obama's numbers.
Gotta pump these numbers
And
up. I'm disappointed.
It's comparable to previous presidents. So where were you protesting this back then? Leftists,
well, it's
liberals.
because CNN never told him to.
Exactly.
No, it's important to understand. That's exactly it. It's herd mentality.
Absolutely. And so that's immigration and border. Now let's get into the economy and GDP. So what did Donald Trump do? He enacted tariffs, industrial policy and a pro-manufacturing stance. That's been his MO in politics.
Mhm.
He promotes deregulation and energy expansion. And what are the results? GDP growth hits 4.3% in 2025. Okay? One of the strongest growth spikes in recent years. So the economy did expand. Manufacturing and investment, and this is my favorite thing. These are my favorite things that Donald Trump has done. Okay? So Donald Trump pushes America first. He uses tariffs to threaten to force domestic production, and created incentives for AI, chips, and manufacturing. Yep. What are the results? Apple, $500 billion US investment. Okay. TSMC, $165 billion invested in the US. NVIDIA, $500 billion in AI infrastructure commitment in the US. OpenAI, ChatGPT, $500 billion AI infrastructure project. Micron, $200 billion semiconductor expansion in the United States. IBM, $150 billion invested in the United States since Donald Trump came into office. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion in manufacturing and research and development investment in the United States. AstraZeneca, Roche, pharma sector, $50 billion. So the big pharma, most of the big pharma companies invested about $50 billion each into the United States. And what does that do, Elliot? That creates tons of jobs. That creates future economic growth, tremendous potential for future economic growth and United States economic sovereignty. And so where are the compliments from the left? This, whether Biden does that or Trump does that, it's a great thing for all Americans because, hey, more job opportunities, more future growth. Your children, the children you're trying to have, Elliot, well, they might work at OpenAI one day because of the investments that were made today.
Hopefully Grok. I'd rather he goes to X, or they go to XAI than than OpenAI. But sure, I get it.
And so, yes, he is a tough president. Yes, you won't always agree with him. Yes, he's going to make tremendous mistakes. I'm not personally a fan of Trump and Melania Cohen. I was not a fan of when that actually happened. But to spit on all of these accomplishments that he has done in 1 year, especially these investments. You know, we talk about inflation. We talk a lot about the economy collapsing. And within 1 year, he brought in trillions of dollars worth of investments in the United States with his policy. Yeah, he played hardball, but that's what businessmen do.
It's a little bit like, it's a bit the same with what happened last week when Jamil Giovanni went to the US and leveraged his connection, his network with the vice president, J.D. Vance, in order to help smooth the relationships with the US, right? The left lost their mind. And to that I said, where is Team Canada? What happened to Team Canada? During the elections, like, we have to stick together. Conservatives, the right, the left, everyone stick together, please, this is for Canada. And to an extent, I agree with the sentiment. What is good for Canada should be good for everyone. And I'm the first one to say, if Carney does something amazing, I will sing its praise. Because if Carney wins, we win, I'm happy. This is not a partisan issue. But let's flip the script. When Jamil Giovanni went to the US, by the way, Carney was aware of it. He approved it. He sanctioned it, as a matter of fact. The left lost their marbles, started attacking Jamil, started attacking the conservatives. And it's like, why? Shouldn't we be on the same team? No, because with them, it's hyper-partisanship. It goes back to the crazy libbies. If you're not as crazy as us, you must be a fascist. That's how they work. To that, I say, you guys are not Team Canada. It's all posturing. It's all fucking posturing. What's up, Hub? My God, I hate that guy. Anyways. No, I don't hate you. You're my number one fan. I love you. I love you. I love it. I love the engagement. It's like there's this one guy on X that keeps commenting on every one of my posts. I'm doing something right now. I'm trying to grow X, okay? X sucks for me. So if you're watching this and you don't follow me on X, go follow me on X, okay? It's a lot of work. It's all a labor of love. And the thing is, this guy, he goes to like my Instagram, he goes to like my Facebook. He like takes pictures, like not private pictures because they're posted online. That's fine. It comes with the territory. I'll take pictures like my son, and then he'll like post it there and be like, he'll attack like my fucking family. These guys are insane. Like they're nuts. They're nuts. I highly recommend you go watch. It's entertaining. And here's the thing. People are telling me, block him. No, I'm an idealist. I believe in freedom of speech so much. And I make this pledge right now, even to you, Hub. I will never ban you. And I will never block anyone on X, ever. No matter how lunatic they may be. I don't block people. It's their freedom of speech. Now you're going to be, yeah, but it's your profile. No, I don't care. Yeah. My ideal is I lead by example. I will never block someone, ever.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeehaw. Let's stay on the U.S. real quick.
Go ahead.
The U.S. is a powerhouse, like an insane powerhouse, and people don't quite realize it, okay? So here's 8 crazy facts about the United States. Got to get to it. So, when it comes to the economy, the U.S. has only 4%, about 4% of the world's population. And yet, the U.S. has 8,000 metric tons of gold, the largest in the world. That is insane amounts of gold, by the way. And that's theirs. That's not the ones they hold in trust for other countries, because other countries have given them given the U.S. the gold to safekeep. That's huge. That, by the way, okay, caveat or side note, that backs indirectly the U.S. dollar. It does. And that's what people don't get. 2, the U.S. has the world's largest defense budget at almost $1 trillion a year. This puts to shame every other country's combined together. Not every country in the world, but like the next like 10 biggest military expenditure combined does not even touch the United States military expenditure. That's power right there. There are 24 million American millionaires. 24 million
That's
millionaires. Amazing. The most in the entire world. It is the country with the most millionaires outright. And that's a testament of the wealth building potential of the US, because keep in mind that 82% of American millionaires are first generation wealthy. That means they were born with nothing and they built it themselves. So for everyone saying it's nepotism, it's just rich people inheriting money and this is like legacies. No, 82% of American millionaires. So 82% of 24 million Americans did it themselves. So what's your excuse? 4 out of every 10 millionaires in the world are US citizens. That's wild. Again, 4% of the population, yet they represent 40% of millionaires. No wonder we say that like there's no better place in the world to build wealth than the US, okay? And this is a jab at you guys, Europeans, sorry. Most of the world's stock market value is in the US. That's another thing people don't realize. The US stock market outperforms just about everything. The European stock market is non-existent. It's a blip in the radar. The Canadian, the TSX, lol, that's a funny joke. The US bond market is $58 trillion. That's 40% of the whole world. 40% of the entire world's bond market is American. Again, that's why I always say, and a good buddy of mine, shout out to you, Alex Cancul. He's a financial advisor, okay? Amazing. I'm sorry, a wealth manager. Important to give the credit where credit is due. And this guy has always said this, never bet against the United States. And you know what? I ascribe to that philosophy. The US dollar is used in 90% of all trades in the world. So again, there's talks about BRICS. BRICS is going to compete against the USD. My father is one of these people. BRICS is going to collapse the US dollar. Fuck no. It ain't happening. It just ain't. May I remind you, bigger gun diplomacy. Guess who has the guns? They keep the diplomacy. So, in short, the US ain't going anywhere. And you can attack it. You can denigrate it. You can say that anything in the world, that the hegemony of the United States is collapsing. And it's true that China is trying to make a run for it. But God, it is unparalleled how powerful the United States are. And that is a testament also to what you were talking about with Trump. Booyah.
Well, the United States has also invented most of our modern technologies, stuff that you use every single day.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's a good time, by the way. We do need to make a correction, because I think, again, you and I, we're after truth, right?
Yeah.
Truth is what matters. So when we get it wrong, I think it's important to address it, again, to prevent partisanship claims, but also just to show our integrity. Last week, 2 weeks ago, you mentioned, it was last week, you made an amazing segment, which will air this week, by the way. I got the files. And you're talking about all the American companies that people are using. There was one tiny mistake.
What?
Spotify. Spotify is Swedish.
Okay.
So we apologize for that. It happens. It happens, guys. And it was pointed out. And right away, I'm like, that's true. I should have called. I knew that too. I should have called it out. It slipped my mind. But it happens. It happens.
I apologize.
1 out of like 20 million companies.
Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. The point is still spot on.
Yeah.
You were like,
yeah.
Again, it's like one company out of how many you named?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, it happens. Dude, the amount of stuff we talk about, the amount of research we do, it's bound to happen. We'll let some slip. I've made mistakes too. And hold me to account. When I make a mistake, bring it up. And you guys too, the viewers at home, if we fuck up, in the comments, give us shit. Like, hit us up. And while we're at it, by the way, like, subscribe, and share this with everyone. But for real, our subs, we just crossed 4,000 on YouTube, by the way.
Awesome.
So, it's a slow grind, but we're...
honestly, it's not even a grind for me. I love the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I love working with you. I love the synergy we have when we share our ideas, and it's not a grind for me. It's absolute pleasure.
Well, we were wondering yesterday when you and I were having lunch, Scorpio Man, Cancer Man, do they go well together? Well, I don't know.
Believe in that stuff.
We do not have that phenomenon here. That was the Iranian president when he was asked about certain people that, remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Elliot, you were
Yes, sir.
talking about the greatness of the United States.
Yes.
Let's talk about some stuff that was invented in the United States.
Let's do it.
Okay. Free market capitalism, baby. I'm a diehard capitalist. Television.
Wait, free market capitalism was invented in the U.S.?
No.
Okay, I thought that's what
I'm
you were
saying I'm a free market capitalist.
Okay.
So I love the inventions that came out of the U.S. I was about to get into my segment.
Maybe
it was
Dutch,
distracting. My bad.
I'm like the Dutch. The Dutch were pretty good mercantile people back in the days.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no worries. So, my liberal friends, the television was invented in the United States. The internet was invented in the United States. Your smartphone was invented in the United States. Your personal computer, your laptop, your tablet, Wi-Fi, GPS navigation, touchscreen technology, app stores, social media platforms, streaming services, all invented in the United States. Video game consoles, email, search engines, the microwave oven, air conditioning, household refrigerator, washing machines, your washer and dryer, disposable diapers, fast food, frozen food, processed snack foods, drive-through restaurants, credit cards, ATMs, online banking, e-commerce, barcode checkout, big box retail, ride-sharing apps, food delivery apps, smartwatches, wireless earbuds, home assistants, cloud storage, digital cameras, drones, electric car commercialization. So,
like everything.
Yeah.
Like life.
Commercial air travel, the airplane was invented in the United States. GPS, home security systems, your garage door opener.
Nice.
3D printing consumer use. Streaming music platforms, I guess, not Spotify.
Yeah, not Spotify.
And so your entire life is
Your entire life is American.
Is essentially like we follow American culture. Do we have a Canadian equivalent to Hollywood?
Yeah, CBC, baby.
TVA.
Rachel Gilmore is our superstar, baby. Let's not emulate her. We do not want to end up with diabetes.
No.
Anyways,
yeah.
But the point is very good. We're right around the hour mark, so let's close it off.
Absolutely.
All right. I mean, what's to look forward to this week? What do we have to look forward to this week? Is there going to be an election? Keir Starmer might resign. It's about time. That guy can't. I think he's like the worst world leader ever. Like worse than Carney.
Yeah.
Like if I had, I won't say that. That's going to get us.
He's at Trudeau level bad. He's probably worse than Trudeau in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Trudeau was like retarded unbeknownst to him, whereas Keir Starmer is like he's purposefully retarded. But on that note, guys, we appreciate it. Tune in next week and fucking like, subscribe. Again, subscribe. Shoot it to everyone and comment. Let us know what you think. What can you improve? What do you like? What do you dislike? Should Simmer next week wear his Right Call podcast sweater that you told me he was going to wear?
Hell yeah, he will.
Yeah, there you go. So cheers, everyone.
Until next time.